all the requirements for the, Louisiana Legislative Auditor, as well as, everybody else that we've done in the past. And I think you'll find that this budget is a lot clearer and more concise about what is actually going on. So with that, I'll turn it over. Yeah, those are all the mayor's announcements that we had. So we'll do a roll call. Leanne?
Alderman Conklin? Here. Alderman Boudreaux? Here. Alderman Charles? Here. Okay, guys, so we did present sort of a format to follow. Going to get through some of the easier funds, remind everyone that we do have multiple funds in the town. A lot of them are much more detailed than others. So we're going to start with the really short ones, that being the cemetery fund and the debt fund. There are no major changes in the cemetery fund. We have estimated revenues to be on line with 2025 and expenditures to be the same. This is a balanced budget with revenues and expenditures equaling $32,100. On the debt service, just a reminder, this covers the 2014 and the 2020 bond. I would like to have a time to present and give my information, and then I'll stop and give y'all time to ask any questions on those particular funds. Okay, so debt service is the.
Were you finished with cemetery?
Okay, no, okay, so we can, okay. I'm sorry, yeah, I was kind of throwing it together, but we can start with the cemetery. Do you have any questions on the cemetery fund?
All we're doing for cemetery is we're changing the title. That's all we're doing. So the cemetery salaries, wages, payroll, retirement, benefits, insurance for 2025. We are now for 2026 going to call it cemetery administrative fee. Where is that money going and who's it going to?
So that is going to be the administrative fee charged by the general fund to cover the administrative salaries of the general fund in the course of doing the business of the cemetery.
So we're just changing the title basically. It's still going to go for salaries, benefits, etc.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Perfect.
it's
Okay.
just a set fee instead of a percentage.
Okay, thank you.
What it goes into the general fund.
Retirement and all that, it's gotta be charged to somebody.
It's charged over my salary. Yes, sir. My percentage of the salary that I cover on the cemetery fund right now. Okay.
It would be somebody. Right.
Okay.
I just want to stop a second before we roll into everything. I know we're in a hurry, but I just want to say thank you for all the work that's gone into this.
Massive.
Thank you.
It has been a massive.
I appreciate that. Yes.
We may have questions or whatever, but like this is a big victory for us in terms of like the accounting and being able to have some transparency.
Thank you.
Thank you for acknowledging.
Yes.
Is this online? I checked.
It is now.
You checked it, so we think it was there.
We were working up to the last minute. It is now.
So it is on, okay.
Yes.
Not unless it's an extra set.
It's mine. I've seen it multiple times.
We have Eric's that we can give to you, and then we'll just print another one for him.
There you go. It's right over there.
Do you need?
Oh, no, it's over here. I'm sorry. They got it right here. Here it is.
Well,
Did-
There you go.
Thank you.
Can we just put up on the screen in case there's any
Yeah.
changes, and then we don't have multiple copies of drafts out there?
Oh, I like that idea.
So we'll continue on with the debt service fund. Just a reminder, these are the dedicated and restricted revenues that come from the millage that is on our ad valorem taxes, and they are related to the 2014 and the 2020 debt service. These figures are what they are. We did use the 2025 ad valorem revenue as the basis that will be tracked to ensure that we continue to get those revenues, and the expenditures in this fund are the exact professional fees, interest, and principal payments that we owe on both of those funds.
No questions for me?
Just a reminder, that fund does show an excess balance, but that excess balance is restricted, cannot be used for any other purpose other than the retirement of those bonds that we have.
No other bonds, correct?
No other bonds, no, sir, just the 2014 and the
Yeah, we
2020.
have a surplus 2 years from now, we can't use it to pay off any other bonds.
No, sir.
This might not be the time for this question, but how much do we have in the LAP fund?
There are multiple LAMP funds.
Oh.
I don't have the, as of the last time I looked at those LAMP funds dedicated to those 2014 and 2020.
What do we have, 10 or 12 limit funds?
The GOB sinking fund associated with that debt service, right now has, it looks to be roughly $300,000 in it. And I'm sorry, those are very estimated figures as of the last time I ran this report, which is probably July.
The reason I ask is we have some expenditures coming out of LAP, and, I didn't know if they were attached to this debt service, so.
No, sir. These are restricted funds. Anything that says coming out of the LAMP fund, those would be out of unrestricted LAMP funds.
So
I do wanna-
according to your description here, we have an excess of more or less 29,000.
That's our timer? Okay.
Oh my God. You guys, we gotta take a beat. We can't be rushing through this.
No,
We
we're
waited
not.
for
We're not
weeks
rushing.
and months to get here.
It's
Y'all
just-
worked your ass.
We just
That's
put
just-
that up
that's
there
just
so
we have
that,
an idea, it's not.
Yeah.
to-
Yeah.
it's
because
not-
if not, we're not
But
gonna get through
the
this in 2
temperature feels
hours.
like rush through it. Like we gotta
No.
be able to ask and answer.
I understand.
If we don't get to them all, then we'll, have to meet
Yeah.
again. But like,
The
let's
temperature is like that because we've been rushed all morning and it's just carrying over into
I
this
know.
meeting.
I
We do
apologize.
want to
We
make
all
sure
need
we're
to
very thorough.
take a little beat.
And I do want to mention something about the debt service. So I have been working with the bond attorney. He has made it clear that our LAMP accounts, that we're overfunded, that we have more money in those accounts than what are required by our indentures and our obligations, that that money is available to us to use for other purposes that we need to use them for.
Well, that's the point of it.
Yes. So, well, that wasn't, the intention was not to overfund those accounts. It's good that we do have that surplus. I mean, because we really do need it. I mean, I'm speaking generally. I'm not speaking specifically now.
But you said something about using it for other things. We can only use those funds that are in those LAMP accounts for those specific.
I'm speaking generally. We do have more money in those accounts than what we need to dedicate it to, for those purposes. If you want me to get more specific, I can, and maybe we do need to have a private conversation. I don't mean private, because everything should be public.
You're just saying something different than Danette was saying moments ago, that those are restricted and can only be used for those specific funds.
It depends upon what the source of the initial revenue was.
Okay.
Where the money came from. So if it came from the 5 mills that are dedicated for GOB, then it can't be used for any other purpose. But if it came from other revenue that was unrestricted and that money was put into those accounts and it
Came out of the general fund, for example, and we've
Yeah.
been putting $10,000 a month away, then we can use that for wherever. Okay, got it.
to a degree that was greater than what was necessary.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so that's, my understanding with these is that we're also earning interest, obviously.
Yes.
So we're gonna have more money than was originally
Right.
taken in.
Yes.
For these dedicated funds. So that's, I guess what I was wondering is like, what do we do with the excess? And, according to what you wrote in here, you're working with a bond attorney to currently review the possibility of a future millage rate adjustment. So would that be reducing the millage?
It would be.
And is that really, yeah, I mean, we just need to have a conversation of,
That would be an option that we would bring to the board.
It's
to
not
decide.
even an option. If
Not
it's
an option. It's not an
overfunded,
option right now.
if we're taking in more money than what we need to pay the debt,
right,
then the millage has to be reduced. When you guys approve the millage annually, and we adjust the millage rate. And we bring it either to the maximum adjusted millage, which we have the option to do for the general alimony and for Parks and Rec. We have the option to bring it to the maximum adjusted millage. When it comes to the general obligation bond, which is the 5 mils, there are no options. That was dedicated specifically for the purpose of repaying that debt. And if you've taken in more money than you need to repay that debt, the bond attorney will make the recommendation that you have to reduce that. It cannot
You can't
be,
be making a profit, basically.
exactly.
I understand. Well, we'll just
Well,
have
the
to.
reason I asked in the first place is because we have those 3 projects that we're gonna pull $476,500
Those are gonna come
out of
from
LAMP.
unrestricted.
Yeah,
So I would just wanna make sure we have that much in LAMP.
we do.
Yes, sir.
All right, one last question on that. Interest on restricted income,
That's kind of what I was wondering. It's like,
is it restricted?
you're making.
What we've been told is that if the interest generates from a restricted revenue source,
Should be
then the
restricted.
interest must be used for that revenue,
That's my understanding as well. Okay.
that purpose.
But it
So-
could be paid to, it could be used to pay off that debt
Right.
early, because it could, there's defeasance to
So
where
you
we're
could retire the
doing.
debt earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So it's good for us to earn the interest, even if we can't use it for unrelated purposes.
Okay.
Next,
The next fund is the Park and Recs Fund. You will notice that in 2026, this fund now includes all town-sponsored events and community activities. These activities and events were divided between the general fund and the Park and Rec Fund in 2025. The mayor felt, after review of all these funds, that those types of activities should be in one fund, and the Park and Recs Fund is where those revenues and expenditures are now shown. Other than that, this fund is, again, pretty much based on the 2025 estimated year-end balances. And it shows revenues and expenditures and a balanced budget of $156,390.
repeat that.
Questions?
I have a couple of questions. Oh, hey, I'm sorry. Taking up your spot. So all town rentals includes everything that happens anywhere in town, across the
Yes,
whole
ma'am.
town, including in here?
Including town hall.
And then, when you're looking at expenditures, I was just going, looking down the list, and it's showing insurance at 1,096%. I have questions about insurance across the board, but it just happens to be the first one that we popped into, so.
So in the front of your packet, Leanne, if you could bring that, I believe it is page 6. I reviewed all insurances related to town property and town liabilities. Those are all shown there. They include the commercial property coverage, the general liability, the errors and omissions, and the autos. And it shows how we split those coverages across the different funds. General, police fund, utility, public works, and park and rec. If the facility was a building within Park and Recs, then the commercial property coverage is covered for in the Park and Recs fund. If it was a general administrative building, then it is to expense to the general fund for the general property. The autos are split between where each of those autos have the majority of their time spent. And
Excuse me, Dana, I think y'all off track here. Regan was referring to the 1,096% of insurance expense under salaries and
Okay,
wages and
I'm
insurance.
sorry. So I have no explanation of where the 2025 expenditure came from that, other than to say, once we redid the salaries according to the percentages and we redid the benefits according to those same percentages, that is what the benefits for the health insurance for employees related to the Park and Recs came up to be.
Or is it,
How much is the dollar amount for the,
$20,450.
for the health insurance benefits for employees? For the
Yes.
park?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the?
Well, my question on that insurance was, especially for that one, do we have workers' comp?
Workers' comp is included in that, yes, sir.
yes, we have workman's comp.
We have to have, so
Yes, sir.
it wasn't spelled out here.
Yeah.
Another thing on salaries, I'm seeing a $40,000 increase
Well, you're
in
right.
salaries and benefits.
The $40,000 is including, the insurance last year was $8,460. So what you've done now, you've taken out farmer's market manager, salaries, benefits, and you've made all that parks and recreation. So the total goes up, there's a $40,000 increase, as Alderman Boudreaux just mentioned. Then you have Alderman Contois's question about the insurance. Insurance last year for the same group was $8,460, which you have projected annually. Now it's up to $20,000. So there was a what?
Where do you see 8,000?
800.
No, you take insurance on the second line, projected 1,710,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you come down to benefits and insurance, 6,750. You add those two numbers together, you get 8,460. Well, if you combine those two, as I mentioned, 8,460, now you're combined them, you've eliminated all the farmers market salaries, benefits, wages, payroll taxes, et cetera, and you've rolled it all into parks and recreation.
Who's in that? No, I don't have one. Is that
Park and
Public
Recs
Works
is,
employees now in that?
No.
It's just Jenny?
Park and Recs is Jenny for a part-time, a percentage of Angie's salary, and a greater percentage of Taylor's salary. That's what goes in Park and Recs.
Right.
And it's very impossible to determine how much time these people spend on farmers market, and that's why I didn't attempt to, I couldn't figure out a justification of what percentage would be considered Park and Recs and what percentage would be considered farmers market. So that's why those are lumped together. So in effect, that budget was only $58,845, but remember Jenny was not with us all of last year. It is now assuming to be increased, and I understand that, but when we gave you the breakdown of those salaries, I mean, we worked on this and looked at the percentages and looked at the percentages again, and I believe Leanne furnished job descriptions for each of the people that are on our salary so that you can see multiple people perform multiple functions over multiple funds.
So parks and recreation is going up $40,000, correct?
Yes, sir.
It's a redistribution of those payroll, insurance, and benefits
Well,
expenses.
something happened with the insurance because you went from $8,460 to $20,000.
Yeah, so it's a redistribution, so that.
What do you mean?
different-
How is it a redistribution?
Well, if they,
The part-time employee doesn't get benefits.
because Taylor and Angie would have been in another area of our budget prior to now putting them in Parks and Rec.
So did the other area where you're taking it out of
Go down?
go down
I don't know precisely where it came
$13,000?
It should have.
I'm sorry, $11,000?
That would have been in the general fund, right?
We don't
I
know.
don't have the answer to that. I mean, if something is high in one place that was low before, then something should be
Well,
low
and
in
there are
another
places where I
place.
see like negative 100%. I'm assuming that's where you took it from one
Yeah.
place and put it somewhere else. But
Right.
we're just like, let's
Yeah,
bring
follow
us
the
the
trail.
breadcrumbs, right?
Well, the-
That's all.
Yeah, follow the trail as far as where it was taken from and where it was put instead,
Right.
the redistribution of these expenses, and then look at the bottom line. You know, see what the bottom line is for wages and benefits and insurance, and see.
Well, and that's really where my question is going. I know we're talking about this fund by fund, but in general, I want to know, how much are we paying for insurance in 2025 and projected 2026 compared to like, what were we paying in 2024? Because everything in here is, insurance is going through the roof. How is that affecting our town budget is my real question.
Cumulative, right? I mean,
Yeah, cumulatively.
Right.
For the whole staff.
Yeah, and do we have, I'm sure we have that information.
Page 5.
Okay.
Page 5.
Okay.
Now, it's not a comparison of prior years. We can get that comparison of 2024 and 2025, and it's on.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going with my question is like, are we, gonna get a big surprise in the next year that, it's going up 200% again? Like, when I see things like 1,000% increase, I'm asking the question.
Well, in context, the issue with that is we don't have comparisons anymore. Historically, we've had 2 or 3 prior years.
But they can go back and try to find.
No,
those
on the same
specific
sheet of paper,
questions.
so you can see the trends of how we're moving, but we don't have that anymore.
I follow the format that's recommended by LLA to present the annual budget, and it just had that prior year on it. It did not have 2024 with the changing of the funds that we've done over these multiple years, new funds being
Created.
changes within each fund. It's very hard to track back to multiple years back unless you ask me for a specific line item. In this case, would be insurance,
Yeah, and I see your point.
salaries, and benefits.
Understand if we're navigating the
Well,
right path with
well, in
how much
this-
we're expanding, how many people we're bringing on board. If insurance is a higher percentage of anybody getting hired than it ever was before, what does that mean for us moving forward? So
Right.
if we could do a little research on that.
Yeah, so these are pieces of a pie, we're looking at the individual pieces, and then we have to look at the pie.
Correct. What is farmer's market event expenses for 6,500 forecasted for next year? What does that entail?
That generally entails the musicians that are hired or any other expenditures they have putting on the farmer's market. It does not entail paying anyone to manage that market. I think maybe Taylor or Angie may be able to give some more light if there's anything other than musicians in there. I simply use the expenditures from last year.
Okay.
So anyway, on insurance, this presentation says you can estimate 6% premium increase. We could look forward to much more than that, really.
Well, that's what I was.
Well, okay, so we're talking about 2 different types of insurance, Alderman Boudreaux. So benefit insurance, such as health insurance for our employees, we have the 2026 values.
Okay.
And they have been budgeted according to what Blue Cross, Humana, and MetLife have given us for the premiums that will be charged in 2026.
Okay.
When we talk about the town insurance, commercial property errors and omissions, there is no way. Those policies do not renew until May
Right.
of each year. So I built in a 6% increase because historically we have seen that increase in premiums over those town insurances.
And that's going to depend on number of employees, number of vehicles, pieces of equipment. There's so much that goes into that calculation.
Yes,
No,
sir.
we were at that LLA meeting this month, and we went over there, and they said, actually, we should be amending this budget monthly if we have changes like that. If we're gonna have a big change in insurance or something like that, we should be doing it monthly.
Yes, sir.
So we have to try to start getting some monthly reports in so we can see these trends and where they're going, and if we need to increase or decrease money.
We'll have to amend the budget early 2026 as soon as they find out what.
They do not recommend amending like we did for the whole year. They recommend looking at it
Yes, sir.
monthly.
You need to be looking at financial statements monthly, and if we are off by that 5%, or even if we're off because we know we have a known factor that's going to put that over 5% by the end of the year, then that will be presented to the town council, and a proposed budget amendment will also be presented.
Yeah.
We won't know that May amount until probably
Till April.
March, April timeframe.
So as soon as we know, we should be amending a budget.
Right.
I listened to that presentation as well. We had the webinar, and I'd like to review that again, and I want to hear what Jennifer Shea had to say. I heard her reference that we didn't have to have a public hearing to amend the budget.
That's right, you do not.
That was news for me. I don't know if that's a Larson Act community application or not. I think we need to verify that, because it's always been my understanding that to amend the budget, you have to pass an ordinance. And whenever you pass an ordinance, you have to have a public hearing, and that's not what I heard from her.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And we reaffirmed it while we were there.
We did talk to her about that.
Okay, yeah.
But that was new. Caught me off guard as
It
well.
is, and she said it was new.
And did she say through what instrument? Because I didn't catch that. Did she say that that would be through resolution? Or how, well, you know what, we'll talk about that because we have
Keep
other
going.
details.
I don't remember
But-
how.
Anything else in Parks and Recreation?
No, but as far as like what you guys would like to see, you know, that was raised during this portion of the discussion is we want to see an overall expenditure, a cumulative expenditure for salaries, wages, and benefits.
Something's wrong, yeah, we run up $40,000.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
So,
40,000.
so for it to go up that high in one department, and of course, when the numbers are smaller, the percentage is dramatically higher than when the numbers are larger.
That's right.
But I mean, we do want to look at the bottom line when it comes to the overall costs for a specific purpose when it comes to the budget. So
It's still a big
I
number.
know that Danette has it because she has all of this information. We've been through it repeatedly over the last several weeks.
Okay.
Next section,
Okay, Public Works Fund.
Public Works.
The Public Works Fund manages the revenues and expenses associated with the maintenance, repair, and improvement of the town's streets, drainage, and infrastructure. With that description, we have moved the repairs and maintenance that are needed on town buildings, such as Town Hall, into the Public Works Fund. As far as expenditures are concerned, I did use a 3% cost of living expected increase on the normal operating expenditures of the fund. We had some other changes. They were explained in your booklet. Overall, again, it is a balanced budget with a total revenues of expenditures equaling $1,133,000. The majority of those revenues are coming from sales tax that is dedicated to that public works.
And do me a favor, check your numbers on that. Look at the general fund sales tax, law enforcement sales tax, which is 1%, and then the public works sales tax is 1%. It's a little off there. It's only, I mean, I know
Did you
it's,
also take in the shared sales tax that goes in there?
shared sales tax is actually on a separate line.
Yes, sir.
But you're at 704,560 minus the $3,000 in impact fees. That would bring you down to the 701,560. But if you look at the 1% for law enforcement in the general fund, it's 699,720. So there's a $2,000. There's something wrong there. 1% should equal 1%.
Right, so the 50% of the 1% that's unrestricted for sales tax goes to the general fund, and the 50% of the 1% restricted goes to the police fund. So the general fund and the police fund should be added together and should match public works. If that's not close, then I will certainly take a look at that. What I just did.
It's it's 699,720 versus 701,560.
Okay.
So sales tax income for public works says 687.8, doesn't it?
No, this says 701,560 according to this.
No, I just used a 2% conservative estimate increase from what we're expected to do year end. So that is probably why you have a little bit of fluctuation between what Public Works is taking in on that 1% and the combined general and police fund on that 1%.
All right, line 37 and 38, in the statement, you said that all the front stuff should be completed by 2025. But we're still dedicating $100,000. You got town building repair maintenance, 29,100, and then town hall maintenance expense, 76. If I could, it's kind of small.
76, that's right.
So
300.
town buildings would include the pavilion, it would include the museum, it would include the annex building, it would include the river shelters, anything else that's considered a building of the town or a structure of the town. We separate, yes, the maintenance,
Conservancy.
no, the maintenance barn's gonna be in Public Works. The conservancy would be in the general
So
fund.
town hall is just this building?
So town hall is just this building, and I took that estimate from what the contractor had originally given us in that first packet with that proposed 2025 amendment. stating that he would be addressing all the deficits around the entire town hall building. And then I took out the portion that we'll be spending in 2025 for just the front.
All right,
So there are still some substantial recommended improvements to town hall for 2026.
You think?
Looked at that
Are
side of
they,
it.
Okay.
they're working on it right
So
now.
initially
are they
we
not?
were-
Just the front.
So that's what I was trying to figure out. Is that part of what's in here? The estimate? It's a
No, the
separate-
2020 fronts, according to the statement, it said 2020, the front would be finished by 2025. So we have initial estimate for the whole building. Okay.
I thought it was higher than
So
those two
I have
numbers,
some
though.
questions about
I
this
thought it
one.
was 70-something for the whole estimate, 60-something.
So I have some questions
Yes, sir.
about this one. This is probably the most important one to me, because these are the guys that do the work.
Right.
And so like this repair of this town hall, how much input did they have to getting the contractor to do this? Did they have any choice about how these contracts get let and things like that?
Who's the they in that?
Who's
sentence?
The maintenance group, the
No,
works
No,
people.
sir, I believe administration took care of.
Josh has input.
Josh is definitely input,
Okay.
especially when we get to contractors.
I have another question about that. On this presentation, you say that on line L6, you're going to remove the grass cutting on all the state roads. We're going to do away with that contract? I consider that a big mistake. I mean, that's going to really hurt the beautification process because we're going to look pretty shabby if we don't have our grass cut.
The state's gonna pick someone, I'm sure someone else to do that contract for them.
Well, why are
When
we-
I looked at the expenditures of our public works and our maintenance and our equipment that we were using, it exceeded that revenue by 3 times. We had a discussion with the state whether or not they would increase possibly that state contract, and the answer was no.
And they added a time to cut it too.
And then they added, then they added up to 4 times a year for us to cut it instead of 3. So I believe in our discussions with the mayor, we were more focused on using our guys for our streets and our ditches and our grass cutting,
Area does
So
that
how can we
cover?
be
All the
assured?
state highways.
all the state highways.
On the side. of-
4
What
times.
is the cost to the town to cut the grass one time?
I
We
don't
don't
have
know
that
one
right off
time,
the
but
top
we
of it.
know that the proceeds from that contract were in the neighborhood of $7,000. And it cost the
Oh,
town
50 was
in
it?
wages, salaries, and benefits, $21,000. That's what we estimated our cost. Our overhead exceeded our revenue by 3 times.
So it's about $1,500 a cut, isn't it?
Yeah, about.
It's $1,500.
It's much more than $1,500. By the
And
amount,
then
we
when it
took
costs
the
us,
amount of
I'm
time.
talking about what they're paying us with the state space. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, oh, I'm so sorry, yes.
$1,500 for us to cut
They pay us
that
to
they
cut
pay
the
us to cut the grass.
We gotta have
How much
4
is it?
guys out there, 2 pieces of equipment, and law enforcement in front and back.
So that they don't get run over because it's
Right.
on state
State
highways.
doesn't use that when they cut the grass. Why are we doing it?
Use what?
I think that's the state's decision, maybe we should ask them.
Two
But
law
for-
enforcement and 4 people and 2 tractors, there's 1 tractor at a time.
Well, I'm
Well,
sure
and the
that,
state's out there on a Saturday cutting it, and they don't really care who holds it. I mean, I've gone by when they were cutting 59 South,
So have I.
and traffic's backed up all the way around the circle,
So
and
what
they
is,
really
what
don't
is our
care.
cost to cut the grass one time? To make 1 pass over the state highways?
Well,
we
one pass on
estimated
the
it,
state highways
Not
probably.
estimated, what is our cost? How are you
you
Well,
determining?
can
what
only
else do you but
estimate, Ms.
estimate?
Alderman Saltzman, you can't take a specific number. There is not enough data for me to
We don't track. it.
find a specific tracking number for the expenditures. I have to use Josh's recommendation of how much time it took his guys to cut the grass.
Time to
and
cut the
the
grass,
equipment,
right?
and
There's a
depreciation on the
calculation that you can
equipment.
use,
whatever it took, and then,
operating a piece of equipment.
And she did
yes,
that.
and I did that. I did that multiple methods. I
And you
took
can-
out the cost of equipment and said, is this contract even covering the labor? And it was not. I took off, well, if we only do it 3, even though we're contracted for 4, does that meet? And no, there was no numbers that I plugged into this review that I did on the state contract and discussed with Leanne and and the mayor as to where the town actually had enough revenue on this contract to justify taking our guys and our equipment off the town and cutting the state highway.
Now they're responsible to maintain it. The state is responsible.
So I guess that's my question. If you're gonna let that contract to somebody else, is there a time that starts? I mean, I would assume it'd be before spring when the grass starts growing again, but
They may have DOT staff that do it. I don't know if they let the contract to somebody else.
if it turns out to be a bad decision, we see after a year that it just looks horrible because basically we're at the nexus of two state roads. You know, I don't know what we do
Yeah, I'd
about
hate
that.
to see Sandra out there with a lawnmower cutting the grass on the side of the road, huh?
Yeah.
The state should fulfill its responsibility. It's their road.
No, we're not taking that.
Sandra, do you have a weed eater?
Oh my God.
We're not doing this.
No. She's like, if I
Yeah,
volunteered
and that
enough.
contract wasn't only for cutting the grass. Of course, you have to pick up all the litter on those roadways prior to cutting the grass, otherwise you shred it all over the place.
right.
So it is a very, we have a lot of there was a lot of linear feet of state highway in this town.
We
And
do.
$7,000, we were not being compensated for what the costs were.
Well, and they could be fixing roads and doing other things, because we
Yes.
only have one small staff.
Right.
I do have a question, though, because this brings me into one of my other, you know, I'm always about the overarching items here.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about getting a list of all the contracts that we have and the things that have to get renewed.
I've been
And-
working on that.
Yeah, I know, I just want to see if we can get an update on that before end of year, so that there's no surprises next year. And this will be an example of something that goes away.
Most of what we've added this year is CEAs.
Yeah.
So we didn't really add a lot of new contracts. I don't think we had Lemoyne on the prior list that I gave you, which is the wastewater treatment plant. So I have to include that.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other things that I've just starting to put together,
Okay,
and we will do that. It's not a question and answer today, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Sandra,
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to get through.
All I was
So-
gonna say was that the lieutenant governor's office has been in discussions with DOTD for his office to take over a lot of that maintenance and the litter pickup
Okay.
on state highways, so, you know, there may be some changes that are going to be coming from the state regarding this, and it will be better if the lieutenant governor's office takes over that
Right.
responsibility in
I have
terms
a
of
couple-
mowing the state highways.
okay.
All right, well,
I have a
By
couple
the
other
way,
questions, too.
At that meeting, they said people like yourself, whether you're paid or not paid, when you're doing town work, you're a town employee. Did you realize that?
public servant.
You're a public servant. They consider you a town employee whether you're paid or not paid.
What questions did you have, Regan? You said you had a
Yes,
couple
I
of
have
other
questions. Can we stay on track here?
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so the other thing I want to
Wait,
say.
Regan,
Well, the other thing I want to say is, I want to make sure that we have this commitment in here to do the drainage stuff with changing culverts and, you know,
we do.
so we have a firm
That's the
commitment on that.
focus.
Yes, sir. We're working on going through the town streets right now and identifying those culverts underneath town streets. We are not talking about private driveway culverts.
No.
Underneath town streets that need enlargement or replacement. It's just gonna take us a little bit of time. Our guys are, we're
Just
doing the
make
best
them
we
bigger.
can on the timeline. Same thing with the streets. I already have a list of
Yeah.
the streets that we've talked about this year. And I'm going to be presenting to the mayor within the first quarter that list of streets. I'm sure he will share it with the council and discuss how each of you feel about which streets need priority over others, so that we have those funds and we need to get those repairs for drainage and streets
When you
done.
change them, just make sure you make them bigger.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Regan, would you like to say something?
Yes, I would like to say, well, first of all, since we talked about those already, it looks like we went from 5,000 to 45,000 for drainage ditches. And my question was, do we have the staff to do that? But maybe
Well, that's one of the
reducing
points that-
the-
right.
Reducing the grass contract would give them more time to work
Right.
on
That's one
roads
of
and
the- there
ditches
you
and
go.
the.
That was one of the factors.
You just
So there you go.
answered one of the
So
things that I
there-
wanted to say.
So I like that
Yeah.
concept, as long as somebody does it right in terms of the grass cutting, but time will tell. And then the other thing that I notice here is you know, we talked about, you know, getting together a list of the roads, which I thought we already did that previously, and we had a whole committee and everything under Patterson, right?
Yeah, but that was,
But-
that was for overlay.
Okay.
That was not drainage.
Safe Streets for All did something, I don't know if we have an inventory. Are you talking about for repairs?
Yeah, whatever we're doing.
Safe
but
Streets put something together as well.
Still
that they
looking
can-
at it, the amount in the budget is so measly. Like,
Yeah.
what do you get, as it's been said many times before, you can't even mobilize for the amount of our total budget. So, I mean, we can continue making lists of what needs to happen, but we need to find real money to fix the roads.
We didn't
Because what's in
include
the
it.
budget is,
Yeah. We didn't include it in a capital outlay request this year. We included
That's what I wanted to know.
sewer, water, and drainage, and tried to focus on those three main things.
as far as roads, it's just gonna be patching things. I mean, we don't have any money to do anything.
Big overlays, we don't.
The main areas that that I know that we've been focused on from the 2025 discussions, is getting Till Road done. That was a commitment that was made to the developer of that, area, and Till Road is horrible between Abita Springs Drive and Whistling Duck. We've also looked at, Main Street.
In front of the school entrance.
And we've looked at Sixth Street, which is a very short section of street between St. Charles and Tammany Trace, which needs just some asphalt put on it. Right now, it's gravel. We've had multiple complaints on St. Charles Street, so we'll need to look at, see if we can do a certain section of St. Charles Street.
Is there a reason why we wouldn't always put, I mean, our roads, we talk about them constantly. Is there a reason why we wouldn't put in for capital outlay every year for roads?
It would be,
The capital outlay is a shot in the dark anyway, right? And so, you know, it all depends upon how, you know, how the cards fall out up there in Baton Rouge. We've done 4 things,
did it last
sometimes
year.
5 things, and we've done them every year since 2019, and have gotten nothing. Now, we were put on the list twice.
Right.
We were actually put on the list by our state representative twice, but pulled off by the senator twice. So, you know, we thought with the sewer and the water being such critical infrastructure along with flooding, you know, and drainage, we thought maybe let's scale it down and let's
Focus on
you know,
the
focus
most
on the
drastic
thing,
need
yeah.
first.
yeah,
And-
and I'd like to answer that too, because I prepared the capital outlay request or applications this time. So it's a time-consuming process, just like everything else. We are understaffed. We are struggling to manage, you know, there are a lot of balls in the air every day in that office, and there are deadlines. And, you know, we do have some good positive news about some things that are happening. Sometimes when you add other things to your request, there's criticism that, why would you put that in? This is what's most important. Are you diluting our request by adding additional things? You know, there's all these
Choice
things,
to,
yeah.
to prioritize the most drastic need. Okay, I
Yeah,
got
we
it.
just said, let's try and refocus and hone in on just, you know,
Okay.
a few.
And the other thing with sewer, it's a major issue parish-wide, so getting it
yeah.
in early.
It's actually statewide. I
first,
mean, you
yeah.
could go
Yeah.
even
We got
further.
to target on the sewer thing while we can. 'cause it's-
Yes.
It's a hot button, yeah, statewide, but really parish-wide.
Right.
right
Water
now.
too. Water's another thing. Terracotta water lines and things like that they have all over the state. I mean, all of that is real big. When you start throwing in other things like, you know, reflooring the Alario Center, well, that might work for John Alario, but I mean, they're not going to give a beat of that kind of money. You know,
And
so-
I would like this opportunity to tell you guys what we applied for. I think Alderman Boudreaux had copies of the request, but we applied for the sewer, the Keller Street lift station, and the Abita East Force Main. I requested in that application that they waive the requirement for the 25% match because we have less than 1,200 if you're under 1,200 utility customers, they will consider waiving the match. Now, once the Abita Meadows goes in, we'll be over 1,200. We won't have that option anymore. The match will be obligatory.
Yeah.
Same thing with water. The drainage plan that we applied for, so we requested for that, and then the water well and improvements to the water system. I asked that they waive the requirement for the match in that case as well. The drainage plan, we requested somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 or $600,000. There was no ability to ask to waive the match in that case. So if they were to say, yeah, we'll give you the money for your drainage improvements, and they give you 10% for some planning funding, it's set at that. You can't get any more than that.
Is there anything else
We would have to have the match for that, which, what, $50,000 or $60,000? No, more than that.
Well, but we don't have to put the meadows in at present because they're not there.
Right, we didn't,
So good.
but in the future, we will.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
future we'll.
Is there anything else we need to have submitted by December 1st for 2026 capital outlay?
We do have to, what we are planning and hoping to do is to ask Water Sector Program to waive the match for the resubmission of funding for the secondary water well and for improvements to our water system. That was submitted in the past. We wanted to resubmit that application, just amending it to ask them to forego our 25% match, because that's millions of dollars, and we don't have that disposable or discretionary income to come up with match money for that. But
Well,
yes,
and not only that, and I think y'all have a good rapport with Representative Egan. You know, I would love to know how LDH and LDEQ comes down in 2019 and say, oh, well, by 2024, you need, you have to have a secondary water source equal to or larger than the one that you have now. Well, okay, so let's put in for capital outlay. Well, no, we're gonna refloor the Ilario Center, like I said. I mean, I don't understand how they expect small municipalities to come up with the kind of money that you're talking about. And Danette, I don't know why that happened. I'm sorry. There's no resemblance. I mean,
sounds similar.
yeah, it's just a rhyme thing.
it.
But I mean, you know, she can talk, she knows people in the water sector business that drills these big wells. And you're looking at 5 years before that can even happen right now.
Yeah.
Good
It's a
luck.
Lottery to get.
And $5 million.
somebody to dig it for you. Yeah.
Just to dig the well, not to put a tower, just to dig a well, and that's what they're talking about. You're going, goodness gracious, man, how does LDH and DEQ come out and, you gotta have this by 2024?
We're in the wrong business.
Yeah,
It's
well, somebody
it's-
ought to get
It's a
it.
state statute, that's why.
Yeah, well,
All municipalities and all hospitals statewide have to have a primary and a backup.
Back up.
yeah.
As part of the sanitary code.
It's
But I'd
not
like
just
to
municipal,
emphasize,
it's any public water
public
supply.
water supply.
So even private
Even hospitals
companies,
have to have a backup.
yeah, but even private companies that operate within the parish have to have a secondary source or tie in to a secondary source.
I would like to impress
Another
upon
question
you
about
guys,
budget.
really though, whatever influence that you have, this capital outlay is crucial to us. And now, this is when your political connections are most useful. So if the governor were to put us on the agenda for capital outlay, it would almost be a sure bet. So if Representative Egan or Senator Mizell, which we didn't even get a letter of support from Senator Mizell. Representative Egan sent the letter of support. We only need one. I'm not sure why Senator Mizell did not send us a letter of support for this. If the governor were to put it on, it would almost guarantee that we would get that funding. We need this to be considered at this session. We'll have some kind of answer in April or May. We're going to be working concurrently with CWSRF, the State Revolving Fund. The bond attorney has already been put on notice that they have said that they will provide that funding. They did not extend forgiveness for any portion of that funding. So $3.75 million in debt is going to be burdensome for the town of Abita Springs. That's one of the
You're right
reasons.
about that, and we just need to make sure that we're being good stewards with what we have and what we get, so.
Our debt ratio has to support that we can pay the money back.
All right, is this ending at 12 o'clock?
Yes,
All right,
sir.
we got 55 minutes.
I have one more question in Public Works.
Public Works?
Yes, line item 31. still, wait, that's not it, let's see.
Traffic circle?
A traffic circle, yeah. So Blitch told us that it would cost in the neighborhood of 30,000, and we had a big old discussion about this, and now I see it's at 80,000 again. Why is that still
no,
showing that?
that's-
Am I misunderstanding?
Yeah, so if
Okay.
you look in column G, that traffic circle is at 10,000 for
For
2026.
26.
No,
Let me
no.
see.
Why is it still 80,000?
It says projected annual revenue and expenditures 80,000.
I kept
Am I confused?
these according to what the 2025 amended budget has in it. That doesn't mean that
That's what's going to be
we
spent.
will be spending that.
It's not really the projected.
No.
Right.
That was my question. I was like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the old number. That was
Okay.
the old
Should
number.
be less
All
than
right, well, I just
60,000.
want to make sure that, like, because we went around about that multiple
We're
times.
having
We had
difficulty
set the
getting the
budget,
contractor
so
to
it just
respond
stays.
to,
Yeah,
the one that made the,
but other things are
prepared the estimate.
modified. so-
For the concrete,
Yeah.
So-
called Ron?
It's also.
Ron's been
Yeah.
following up regularly, once or twice a week with them.
Excuse myself for just
Okay,
a
that's it. Regan for Public Works?
Yes, I'm good with that.
What's next?
So the next budget to discuss is the utility fund. As we all know, this is our enterprise fund for the town, so it takes in the revenues from our gas, water, sewer, and garbage services, and it expends for those same services. You will notice the major change in this. The revenues are projected with a very conservative 2% increase. That will come from the built-in cost of living rate increase that was approved in the resolution for this year, and also with some expected growth within Abita Meadows. I don't have any concerns about us meeting those revenue projections that are in the 2026 budget, but we will closely be tracking to make sure we see that they're on track. And line 35 does have one of those other financing sources from LAMP, as you mentioned earlier, Alderman Boudreaux.
Yep.
Those are unrestricted funds that would be used. This was put in because the town's revenue from these sources do not have the excess needed to cover the projected cost of pumping and hauling Abita Meadows until the sewer force main is done.
Now, that pump and haul, is that gonna be on an as-need basis? Are we gonna try to hook up first and see if it works, or?
Yes, sir. We are going to allow a certain amount of flow within that St. James manhole.
Right.
Unless we
non-wet
see,
weather.
but not wet weather, unless we do see that it is impacting the downstream customers. That is going to be an operational, thing that I keep a very close watch on. The last thing I want to do is to have an overflow on this gravity sewer system. And so in the meantime, we will be putting in a 21,000 gallon holding tank, so that during wet weather, or as soon as we see any adverse impacts, that flow will be diverted to the holding tank.
Right.
Using a holding tank will reduce our pumping hauling by a significant amount, because the fee to haul will only be 8 cents a gallon, whereas the normal truck that only has 3,000 to 5,000 gallons could be upwards of $800.
Where, are we gonna dump that in Arrowwood?
Yes, sir, it's gonna be hauled to the lift station
The pumping station. in the-
Pumping
in the
station.
Yard.
in the yard.
Okay.
We're looking at about first house to flush a toilet right now. Best case scenario is about May.
So, did we ever get a report when we tested that lift station at the Meadows?
One that you and I and
Because I
EJ
was
were out
real
there.
interested.
I don't recall getting any report back, but I did discuss it with John, and those 1.5 horsepower pumps are more than sufficient to handle.
Wait a second, John.
They are, but I was more worried about the amount going into the St. James manhole, because we were pumping large amounts of water very quickly into that St. James manhole, and if it was holding that, I don't see we're gonna have a lot of problem.
Well, it's a test case scenario whereby you're filling up that lift station and then pumping it out all at once, and you're watching that flow going in, and if an overflow occurred,
Right.
we don't know that because no one was actually monitoring the Levinson Street manhole. But if an overflow occurred, then it would be the clear water that was pumped into Beta Meadows.
They had a guy over there watching.
They had
They
a guy,
had a guy at the St. James manhole.
they had a guy at the St. James manhole, they didn't have a guy at the Levinson Street.
Levinson Street, okay.
We did not hear any
John was-
report of that happening, but again, that is just a test case scenario, that
That would've been
can't
nothing
be.
but clear water.
That can't, well, it wouldn't because it'd be mixed. Those types of scenarios are very hard to put into a realistic, but I can assure you that, again, I will be watching this situation. Funds won't be expended from the town account unless it's absolutely necessary to make sure that we are not adversely impacting those customers that are downstream of the St. James manhole.
Who did the report for that testing?
We really need to kind of stay on the budget.
Okay, because John was out there.
Yes, sir.
But he
And he
didn't do a
just
report?
hasn't gotten,
I
I
don't know
guess,
if it's a
the,
written report.
yes, it should have been a written report. We'll get
Be
it
a
from
written
John.
report for
It's just a matter of,
planning, too. Okay.
So in expenditures, again, I used a 3% conservative estimate for increase. Again, the salaries and the wages and the benefits are split over these funds and these different parts of the utility fund according to what we use for our percentages. So you may see some going up and down as we reevaluated the duties that each employee was doing out in the field.
And there's an example. If you look on line 60 and 61, 23% and 40%. So we saw the 1,000 in Parks and Rec, and now we see 23 and 40%, which is a reduction. And when the numbers are smaller, the percentage is, like I said before, naturally higher. So you will see a redistribution of those salaries and wages from one fund to another.
Okay.
Line 97, the expenditure has been reduced to anticipate decreased treatments cost to UIL resulting from expected completion. What is that going to decrease? I mean, what are we expecting to save there?
We are currently pumping 100% of our effluent
I understand
from
that.
our homes to Arrowwood.
Right.
Once the new plant is in place, we will cease that 100% haul, and we will only be pumping the excess from Abita Meadows and anything during wet weather that our new treatment plant cannot hold. Just remember that even though we have a gallons per day on those plants, they are equipped for wet weather. So it'll be interesting to see just how much our plant can hold before we do have to convert.
So right now, it's costing us $151,000, which you have projected, line 97.
Yes, sir.
But you're projecting, and we're going to be online in April, right?
Yes, sir.
That's 4 months. 76,000. That equates to $228,000 a year. Why are we budgeting so much for 2026?
I don't know if it'll be April, it would be May at the earliest, right? I mean, substantial completion is scheduled for April, but I don't think I think it's gonna be fully complete at least another month or so after. I don't know that that necessarily is pertinent, but
Okay. Well, 70, so we may have a little extra there.
Yeah.
At 76,000, okay.
So I have a couple questions on this one. First of all, I see that we're passing along a $1.50 payment processing fee. Is that what it actually costs us, or are we still subsidizing?
We're
Why are we
still
choosing to do that instead of passing it on like everybody else on the planet? Why are we,
That's a good point. We had a discussion about that, and. you
everybody
know,
else, when they go anywhere else, it's a 3% fee or 3.5%
Or
fee?
4%, I just
Right.
said
So
1 and
what was our
4%.
average per transaction?
The cost is $5 per transaction, that's the average cost.
So I don't understand why we're hamstringing ourselves in something that would not even be a discussion.
well, the discussion has been that some people will forego using that service if it's too expensive, and that they will come into the office, or that they'll mail a check, and that could potentially cost more than the $5.
I don't know. People
I mean, you
order
just said-
Amazon. Maybe 5 years ago that I would believe that, but now I feel like it's so commonplace that people expect, the cost of their service to coincide with the the convenience of it.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd pay $5 on a $70, $80 bill. I don't know if it's real or if it's not real. I mean,
Well,
if
when
I-
you say
yeah.
$5, I'm talking about, it's really just a question of if it's a percentage, if it's 3%, then, it is what it is. You get paid more for something that's $400 than you do on an $80 bill, but
I mean, Jennifer just said
I just don't understand
$5
why.
a transaction,
She said that's average.
that's average, $5. We're only gonna charge $1.50, but then you're saying that the grass cutting was 3 times the amount. I'm with Regan, we should be
Because you
collecting this like-
calculate the cost of labor and overhead. That's what you have to evaluate. So
But
it's,
if we're paying, I mean, if they're electing to use a card versus sending in a check, that's their choice.
Yeah.
Why are we covering that cost for them?
sending in a check is not free, and having people come into the office and deal with our staff is not free. So there's still an expense associated with it.
I think we need to go up more than $1.50 if it's costing us average of $5 per transaction. Just do a percentage.
Yeah, I think I would just
I
do
think
it
just
as a
do the whole
percentage.
do the whole
I will
percentage.
have to check Tyler Tech to see if you can charge that full percentage back,
Or is it just percentage?
when they charge that online. I'm not for sure. I know that we
mean,
can
that's how
set
it
up a
happens
fee,
everywhere
but I'm
else.
not for sure if,
Jennifer, let's hear your answer to her question.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Go ahead.
You were explaining, I don't know if you want this, but you were explaining that it's different for different cards as far as the expense associated with it.
Yeah, I ran all the numbers for every transaction, and the merchant fees are based on what type of card it is. It could be a debit card, it could be a credit card, it could be a fleet card or a commercial card. It's never the same. So you can't say a $5 or a $50 bill is going to cost you $1.25.
Or even a percentage for that matter, because
Right.
sometimes it's a flat rate plus a percentage.
But we could
Correct.
set our own flat percentage. That's what we tell people all the time. If they pay for a permit at the town, it's a 3.5%, and we let them know that. You want to pay by card, we're happy to accept it, it's 3.5%. And they say, okay, send me over there. They don't want to come in, they don't want to drive across town, they don't want to send in a check. I mean, I think it's
guess we
pretty
could
standard
try-
these
I guess
days.
we could try to increase it and see if there's a reduction in people that utilize it, and if it creates more of a burden when it comes to.
Yeah, we
staff
can
having to
reassess,
do it.
but I don't know why we'd hamstring ourselves before we even try it, because
Well,
it is
just
so
trying not
standard
to-
everywhere else.
And we're trying to encourage people to go into that. There's a lot of people that won't pay online because they go, I'm not paying that fee. We have older
Yeah.
people that feel, I shouldn't say that because my wife's one, I'm not paying the town $5 more for it, I'll bring it in,
Drop it off when, yeah.
so.
Okay.
But I don't have a problem. I think my original feeling was whatever the percentage we get charged, that's what we ought to pass on to them. Here it is, 5%,
If you have automatic
3%.
withdrawal, is that a fee too?
no, sir.
No.
No,
So if I set up my
a
town
lot of people
account-
won't handle that though. You gotta go through your bank.
Right, but if I have, it's
That's
automatically paid.
ideal. That's the ideal way
There's
to
no
do
fee
it.
there, right?
No,
So
Right.
they could elect to do that,
they could,
but right now, we're electing to pay a percentage of their fee.
They
right.
put it on their credit card and then they get points.
I'm with,
Yeah,
I
so
support
they're
it.
getting something
So
out
am
of
I
it, but we're
hearing
not, which is crazy.
consensus that we want to increase that
Yes.
revenue to match what our estimated
So you wanna-
expenditures and credit card processing are? Do you have any recommendation of where you want to put that extra estimated revenue? I think it's going to be, our revenue projected at the $1.50,
8,000.
was
something like that.
8,000. The expenditures actually for those are on 111. So right now, our expenditures are expected at 20,600. So if we're going to increase our revenue, then we've got roughly 12,000 there we can
So
float
if you
around.
increase it to 3, it'll jump to 16,000, you'll be $4,000
But
short.
I think
If you
they were
jump it
talking
to
about-
5,
Oh,
But y'all are
No,
talking
they're
about
talking about-
dollars. I'm talking about a percentage,
Right.
just like the
Percentage.
card costs us.
So you're
Like,
saying
just
if it
match
cost
whatever
us-
they charge us.
Yeah, whatever they charge us, whatever
Yeah.
the credit card charges us.
She
they-
said it's different for each one, so you're gonna have to calculate that and pass it on.
Is
We
it?
have to know
The
in
percentage
advance.
is different for whatever
Yes,
card?
it's different for each one. Sometimes it's like $1.50 plus 3%.
Hmm.
So it depends upon the vendor. as to how much they charge us, and we're not gonna know that in advance of them using it.
We'll have this discussion later, but I support Alderman Consoy's.
Increase
Yeah,
as
we
well.
can look around and find out what's a standard
It wouldn't be
fee
any
for
different than
everybody.
going to a
and-
restaurant using
Yeah.
a card. They run your card on the temporary thing before you sign, and then they have the percentage that whatever they charged. Whatever that is, they have that fee on there.
Right.
So, I don't, why
So
wouldn't
what are we gonna bring in, 8,000, you said?
we,
No, we would bring in the 20, that it's
No, what are we
costing.
bringing
we
in
just
now?
match
That
whatever it
$1.50?
8,000.
8,000. So if we
We did the
say
right
our-
percentage, would break even and make the 20,000.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on. I had another question in here. It looks like,
I'm sorry, Regan, you still in utilities?
49, I'm still in utilities. It says interest income has been reduced to reflect anticipated lower earnings of LAMP funds allocated to capital projects. So my question to that, I see that we took some LAMP funds to pay for the $150 pump, tank and pumping. But if we're losing 30,000 in interest, I mean, out of 150, what other money has been taken out of the
So-
LAMP
Hasn't been
fund?
taken yet, but we do have the money that we're gonna allocate to pay off the Series 2004 bond.
Okay.
We talked about using some of the LAMP account money to do design and engineering for the Abita East Meadows. We talked about using some of the money to do the installation of the gas line. And there was one more thing, didn't that, we talked about before the end of the year, wasn't there?
No, I think those, in the 2025
those one more
proposed
time?
amendment, we have roughly
Abita
520,000
Design and
being
engineering.
pulled out of a LAMP account for those projects that were just mentioned, the payoff of the debt, the gas line, and the Abita East to a force main. Those were approved in the budget amendment.
Okay.
Gas line, payoff of the debt, the design for the force main.
Yes.
And
And now
pumping
we're
hall.
looking possibly at pumping hall,
And
and
the
there are
pumping hall.
also some other capital projects within the fund that will come up at the end of the discussion, and you'll see the difference between the revenue that we're getting in for that project and what we may have to expend out for that project.
Okay, so this is all to be pulled from LAMP funds in
Unrestricted.
2026.
So I got 636,500 coming out of LAMP.
There's one more thing, because we talked about the remaining balance, was it the 2019 bond fund to reallocate to the other funds that paid for the street repairs, the drainage issues that were supposed
That's,
to be?
yeah, that's not from this LAMP fund. So,
You're talking about a specific LAMP fund? I thought they were.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, we were dealing with a specific LAMP fund that had unrestricted cash in there of 1.2 million. So we're pulling out 520,000 with the 2025 budget amendment.
Okay.
And then, yes, sir, you are correct. And these capital projects, we are projecting to pull out another 625.
Another 625.
Yes, sir.
Wow, so is that from the same LAMP fund?
Yes.
So we're not gonna have much left in there, huh?
No, sir.
Not that
No,
one.
ma'am.
Well, I mean, that's what LAMP is for, to keep your money liquid, but
This was originally coded as a sinking fund for the 2017-2004 loan to DEQ. Over time, I'm not for sure how that fund got to be so high, because in our research of our bonds, and I think it was possibly just misunderstandings or whatever happened, the sinking fund of your debt obligation is your current amount
Well, I know how some
that
of
is being
money
put
goes.
in from your current revenues. So anything that was left in this sinking fund when we paid the September 2004 and 2017 debt obligations was money that didn't need to be in there.
These were the DEQ, part of the DEQ loan and the utility fund loan. Nikki started funding those accounts before we drew down the money. So she was putting money into those accounts before we had even borrowed it. And I think that that's one of the reasons that that got built up to the degree, and we just consistently kept maintaining that as if the loan was fully funded, and it wasn't. So we still have a
There is
balance.
$400-something thousand coming out of that for this year too, correct?
For the DEQ?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's
That's gonna be
Those-
going towards match. We have,
500,000, the 600,000, and additional 400 and something thousand that we have available in utility.
we still have
Well,
a
those-
big amount of money that we have to comply with matching funds for the water sector program. So that money hopefully is gonna take care of that. That was one of the reasons we got so many points for the sewer project, is that we put over $6 million in matching funds against that loan, that grant.
So the debt service that's showing in this fund for 2026 of 441,000, those are taking out of your current revenues, okay? So we are splitting that over 9 months, so to reach September 2026, and we're putting a certain amount of our current revenues into the sinking fund for this debt. Those current revenues will be what will pay this $475,000 as they become due in March and September.
Okay.
That's, just be assured that we have looked at and we continue to maintain the levels in the reserve funds and also in the, what do you call it? That final fund that needs 250? It just, contingency fund. So we have those funds and they meet the guidelines of those debt obligations under the assumption that the 2004 debt will be paid off in 2025.
Does anybody have anything else with the
Contingency
utility fund?
right.
That's it. What's next?
You move on?
What fund's next?
General.
The general fund is next. You will notice that we have, again, taken out all town events revenue out of this fund, moved it over to Park and Recs as discussed earlier. We have also taken out all the restricted sales tax from the police fund. This is changed from your original packet that you got via your email. After discussions with the accountant for clarity and transparency, we did take those police funds and expenditures and make a new fund. So in your general fund, this fund is going to cover your administrative costs of the town. The ad valorem tax, you will see a very large reduction in that. That is because a portion of that general alimony is restricted to the 2019 debt in the utility fund, so those ad valorem taxes will actually record in the utility fund and not in the general fund. Other than that, again, it's a balanced budget of $866,140 for revenues and expenditures. So if we have any questions on that.
Let's see.
Is there any particular reason why we separated out janitorial? You got janitorial, pest control. And for some reason, did you combine them for 20?
I did combine them for 2026, yes, sir.
Okay. Legal. Are there any outstanding legal expenses that we anticipate in the remainder of 2025 or 2026 coming up?
I wasn't advised of any.
Okay. Leanne? Now that risk management is finished, do we have anything coming from Milling or them that we know of?
I'm unaware of anything. I haven't talked to Edward in 3 weeks, I don't think. Trying to keep these legal expenses
So
down.
Milling hasn't submitted any bills to the town?
I haven't received any additional bills.
And that have y'all? Has anybody received any bills from
No,
Milling?
sir.
Okay.
No. Those bills go through Leanne first before they come, so
Well-
that they can be reviewed.
You know what, let me clarify that. So we don't receive any bills from Milling as it relates to the lawsuit with the Meadows.
Right.
Or the defense of Dan for his contempt charges.
Right.
I did use milling last month because I received a public records request that was quite extensive from the marshal's attorney, asking for a lot of documents. They were involved in that. There are a lot of exceptions to the public records law that I'm unfamiliar with, so they did review those requests and tell me what I was allowed to release and what the exceptions were when it comes to.
What about Milling versus the Meadows? Are they finished with the town yet? Do we know?
Like I said,
I
we
don't
haven't,
know. No, I haven't seen anything.
we haven't been billed for anything with the Meadows from milling,
You say you don't get billed from the Meadows.
right?
So who gets billed?
Risk management used to get billed, but I don't know that, I haven't had any communication.
Still receiving the bills?
I haven't had any communication with Adam about him continuing to receive any bills, because we haven't really had that much communication with them relative to that. I'm not saying there's been none, because I can't speak for if anybody else talked to them, but I haven't really been communicating with them. What's that?
Next.
I have just a comment. One of your notes in here under general fund is on line 76 about consulting fees being reduced. It looks like that's actually maybe line 75. But I am curious what it's been reduced by 50%. Is that something that, that you talked with Kristen about? Because I feel like we're still really in the midst of a lot of planning decisions.
We are indeed.
That was a
but,
compromise, really.
That was a
Kristen would have liked
compromise based on the available revenues that we had in the general fund, since planning and zoning is a function of the administration. She feels that that may be sufficient. If she finds out it's not, then we may need to come back and have a discussion on adding additional to that.
She's gonna try to manage those expenses to the best of her ability, but we are in the
Yeah, we're in the crux of the
end
whole
stretch
thing,
of it,
and that's
yeah.
where, you
Right.
know, the bill becomes a law kind of thing. Like, we
Right.
really, we can't lose our.
Abandon it now.
I'm not saying
Right.
go crazy with consultant fees, but we really need the expertise at this time before the ink dries.
Yeah.
So I would just watch that. I mean,
Right.
I'm a little concerned about that.
Line 97, why are we still investing $11,000 in computer networking for law enforcement? Is this gonna be an annual expense?
yes.
197 in the general fund? Are you looking at the original sheet or the revised sheet that was in your packet today?
I'm looking at the original, but let's see on here,
It's separate now, isn't it?
please.
Yes.
What is this,
Well, it's not
11,000?
more, 'cause
So there are two fees in each of a lot of the different funds relating to Tyler Tech.
Partial computer networking.
Where is it on the new one?
Networking is Yes Tech. That is keeping up there. That's a portion of the Yes Tech contract, whereby he manages.
On the new thing at page,
26.
line 26, correct.
$11,850 for the
Line-
new budget?
26 on, are we going to the police fund?
Well, it was in the general fund, now it's in the police fund.
Okay, so can we, yeah.
Yeah, let's
If you-
stay on the fund we're on, and then we'll go back to that one.
All right, well, the
So
general
I
fund,
will explain,
How you divided that?
there is our Tyler Tech subscription, which
Correct.
is our annual subscription for all the different modules that we use from Tyler Tech,
correct,
or will be using soon.
okay.
There is a Tyler Tech software implementation, which we discovered at the end of this year, whereby in the original contract, there are professional fees and data conversion fees that are required per each module that they get up and running. Okay? So those fees are shown in these budgets. I have split them across whatever module it is. We've had them break it down. We went back to them multiple times. We've taken out things that possibly we don't need. We have streamlined this Tyler Tech as much as possible, but we have to have those implementation fees in the budget or we can't go forward.
Okay.
Okay? Then you have, as you discussed, in the general fund, which would be up on the computer networking, which is 47. That is Yes Tech, who manages all of our internal controls on our computers, the networking, the OneDrive, backing up all of our systems. He actually works with the sound system here. So that is a different contract. It also takes in any subscriptions we have for antivirus software and things like that. Okay.
Okay, I have some questions about this. The town and town council legal fees, is that Mr. Dino?
Yes,
Is that what we're paying Mr. Dino?
yes.
Okay. Another one, I forgot to ask you on the other funds, accounting and auditing. Why are we splitting that out? Because we have accounting and auditing in Public Works and Utility Fund. I forgot to ask you about that.
Same thing.
Yes, sir. So we look at these professional services, and I think that was on one of your pages that was given in your email. So we looked at each of the professional services: accounting, legal fees, engineering, and miscellaneous. And we determined a fair amount.
Percentage.
Yes, sir. It's actually, accounting, there are the three largest funds that are handling that, and that's the general fund, the public works, and the utility fund.
Okay.
Those are where the majority of the transactions occur in this town, and so accounting fees are split between those
Does
funds.
that answer your question? Or did,
Yeah,
because
that
I was,
answers.
okay.
That's the same explanation that we've been,
You,
I mean,
yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did give you a recap, so in the past, it used to be what is in all of those,
I
and,
just didn't
and,
notice it before.
yes, sir.
That's all right. I'm using some of her.
Y'all have anything else
So-
on general fund that you have any questions about before we move to the police fund?
Let's see.
All right, so the police fund,
I asked them if they had a
sorry.
question, they said, let me see.
I have none.
You have none, okay. You're doing pretty good on time.
yeah. Okay, we ready to go on to the police fund?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a new fund that will form in 2026. It will take in the restricted sales tax for the law enforcement department, and it will track the expenditures related to those funds. Those funds are restricted, so this is a balanced budget according to the revenues and expenditures of $349,860. You will notice that there is a reserve in there, and that's built in for the difference between the revenue and the expenditures as we projected them now. And that would be spent for, I assume, any capital outlay that the law enforcement department would need.
So I'm glad y'all did this. Thank you very much. This is, because this goes back to the 1983 law. And I do have a statement about that. Well, okay, so 50% of that 1% goes to the police fund. Okay, so we got that now. That's good. The remaining part, according to that process verbal, is supposed to go to equipment. So would that go to Public Works if they needed some equipment? And then, after equipment, then it goes to the general fund. So could you look into that?
Yes, sir. I'll look
That's
into
a-
that.
Because that's a-
Because it has equipment before the general fund.
That's a-
50% law enforcement, like he's saying, then equipment. What
There's,
equipment
there
is
is
that?
another 1% sales tax that's dedicated
Yeah,
for
that's
Public
the
Works
65.
and the purchase of the equipment, so I don't know why they
That
would
could
put
be
it
a place
again.
when we need some equipment for Public Works, we might look there to get some money for that. Because that's what that process verbal says.
Right.
Okay.
So I just
We'll
wanted to say-
definitely look into that.
Right, so we've taken clerk of court out of
The police fund.
police fund.
Yes, sir. The research on that, and I've done some pretty extensive research, is judicial is separate from that restricted sales tax, and so it is accounted for in the general fund and not in the police fund.
That's right.
And that was, in response to your concerns and some things that you guys have brought to our attention. So we're trying to manage this effectively and be, I know it's an overused word, but transparent and follow these things and make sure that moving forward, we're doing things precisely as we should.
By the way, I hate that word transparent. I'd rather hear clarity.
Yeah. I like that. Let's change it to clarity.
That's a different meaning, really.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the police fund?
No.
Okay, so we'll go and wrap it up with our last new fund, and this is our capital projects fund. I will be very I will give you some clarity on this, that I have struggled with the putting together this capital projects fund in a way that does accurately track the revenues and expenditures for the different projects. I have split it up into each project to the best of my ability.
Annette, this is what I'm most excited about, and thank you so much. This is something that
very
we've
good.
been wanting and wanting and wanting
I
for
will
years.
in advance ask Grace if these numbers have to be changed during the year, because again, this is a brand new budget and there are a lot of variables in all of these projects that will go on throughout the year.
Yeah.
So I, in advance, will ask for your grace as we go over the budget to actuals in 2026 on the capital projects.
And I don't think anybody here can argue with how much detail is being provided and how we've really, we've worked hard to try to give you what you want.
Guys, this is what we've been asking for years.
Yes.
And this is how we have to be, we're not transparent, what's the new word?
Clear.
Clarity.
So that we have
We're
clarity.
providing clarity.
We have clarity.
Yeah, but what I want to say is, the more detail that we provide, being that this is a forecast and it's an estimate and it's based on our best information, the more subject we are to needing to make adjustments. And we're trying to anticipate what is going to get done before the end of this year, what might carry over into the next year. And I want to just bring to your attention right now that we still have a couple of projects that we're trying to get finished before the end of this year. And if we don't, and we don't spend that money this year, we will have to amend the budget to include it in next year to complete those projects. One of them, for example, is the Trace Lighting project. We have $150,000 to $200,000 left that we have to pay that contractor. $150,000 to $200,000, it's probably in the neighborhood of around $180,000. We're not paying them until everything is complete. Sure. We can't pay, we have a few little things, there are some leaking finials at the top of some of them. So we're not gonna close that project out until it's complete. Hopefully we get that done and we get the money in before the end of the year. If not, we won't pay it this year, it'll be in 2026, and we'll have to come back and amend the budget to address that.
Going
But I
forward,
think, first of all, thank you, because we have been asking for this for years, and I know it's not easy per se, but I think now that it's gonna be in a separate bank account, I think it's actually gonna turn out to be easier than we might think initially. Because, and these amendments are not gonna be like, well, what'd you do with the money? It's gonna be where it's supposed to be, and it's either spent or not spent out of that bank account. So I appreciate the effort it's taken to get there, but I think it will bring us all, I hate to keep using the word clarity, but there we go.
one thing.
Transparent clarity.
One thing about it, every one of these projects going forward should have a timeline like the waste treatment plant. I mean, that thing is excellent. You've done a great job on that one, having meetings every month and following that timeline. And that way, if you cross over years on a project, you know right up front, and you know where that money's gonna be, where the, I call them draws, where the draw of the contractor is gonna be each year. And so we know then, that's a great timeline. It was perfect.
Yeah,
So,
we owe them
we'll
$1.5
try to
million
emulate that.
right now. We owe Lemoyne $1.5 million
Right.
that we have a pay app in the queue to be paid, and that hasn't been paid yet. If that gets paid this year, then you know, there may be another 400, and I sent you guys an email. I hope that it was clear as far as what I was trying to communicate as to how that might shake out. But we don't have a crystal ball, and we don't know when things are gonna come, and we're relying upon the state, so there are so many variables that it's hard to anticipate exactly how it's gonna shake out.
Well, if you have a good timeline, you can kind of keep that in check, where you don't
Speaking of
get a sudden thing dropped on you.
Yeah, but when you're relying upon somebody else to reimburse you, whenever that comes, that
Yeah,
comes.
that's true, that's true.
Yeah.
Speaking of timeline, is Level Burbank completed? And paid?
Yes,
We don't owe them a dime?
no,
Okay.
done. That, we should.
Did we
apply
save any
for
money?
that.
Did we get any?
Get that.
We got some pulled off of the, what they pulled in.
They wanted to actually do a change order to increase what we owed them by another $14,000 to $16,000, and we, just held firm on the fact that that wasn't gonna happen, and they conceded.
Yeah.
So we end up saving a little money?
No, we didn't spend more than we should have.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
I mean, they were not happy when it was all said and done, but it's finished and we can put that
I mean,
behind
they're
us.
the ones that did the
We
bid.
have a
They do the
project.
bid.
I'm sure we have a project total, but is that something we can learn from? Meaning, like, do we have it all written down where we can say, this is the initial amount, this is what cost us more money, this is the final amount, and, how do we use that to handle the next project better?
I'll tell you one thing that, I'm sorry, I'll tell you one thing that we all should learn, everybody that's here and may want to be involved in this kind of stuff in the future, is that when you have an engineering firm that's overseeing something, you make sure they have an on-site guy there so many days a week, looking and approving and knowing what's going on, not this, well, I'll show up at 12 weeks out, and then I'll
Yeah.
30 weeks out. No, they need to be there every week to make sure that the things that are going on and the changes that are happening are changes that have to happen, and not something that, well, we just don't know. I mean,
Well, we got all big projects on
That
it.
is, that is why in
The engineer should have caught building up a 8-inch wall around the drain.
Well, so
Early
we didn't learn anything necessarily from this because it was something we knew, but we're gonna place more emphasis on it.
Right.
Is there has to be good, clear communication about the way these things carry from one year to the other.
Right.
And if you have $800,000 in one year and $400,000 in the other, you don't say that the project is gonna cost $800,000, it's gonna cost $1.2 million. Even though it's gonna carry through 2 years, that communication has to happen, it has to be clear, everybody has to understand that the total project is gonna cost a certain amount of money, just because it doesn't happen all in one fiscal year. And in this case, it did happen in one fiscal year. And like Dan said, you have to have resident inspections ongoing. There has to be an engineer to hold the contractor's feet to the fire and to talk to them about change orders as they happen and not after the fact.
so
So we're
we'll,
gonna handle that on future projects.
that is why you will
already-
see that professional inspection and review. Those seems like, those engineering fees made to the average person seem
High.
excessive or high, but that is the only way that the town can guarantee that a professional that knows what needs to be done, and if things aren't done right, can address them immediately, and we can keep these projects on a great timeline, and review any change orders as they occur before they're asking for
We
payment.
need a
for those
quality
change orders.
project, a
we've
quality result.
had resident inspections on every other project but that one. And I think
I hate to
that's,
say it shows, but it
that-
did.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yep.
So we're gonna wrap it up. I think we have one sheet that will, show everyone the, overall budgets, for the town, over all the different funds we are now managing. The difference between the expected year-end 2025 and the projected 2026 budget is less than 1% for operational. The budget increase is mainly coming within the capital projects fund, as we have those new, all of those funds moved to that one fund. Do we have that?
I'm having a hard time getting it to come, to pull up.
So it was, if we can get it, it was just a recap of each of the budgets over each of the funds compared to the 2025 totals. We're working on it.
And I noticed one thing on the
Not being
capital
to send it to
projects.
us.
I mean, obviously, we put out for some requests for funding for these capital projects, but when are we gonna find out about those requests? And obviously, with
April.
So we
an
have-
amendment
April,
to the
May.
budget.
CWSRF, we received confirmation that we were awarded the funding. Of course, it has to be vetted by the bond attorney, and we have to prove that we'll be able to pay it back.
CWFRS is for which,
Clean
Clean
Water
Water.
State Revolving Fund.
The loan,
okay.
that's the loan, $3.7 million for the sewer project.
Oh, so when did we
Yes.
hear that?
Last week.
Well, we're trying to, we
Trying to
needed to
verify.
get a little bit more information before we told you. That's good
Okay.
news.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I just heard it just now.
yeah, right.
For the bond.
That we
Still
were gonna
have to
announce
have the
that.
bond attorneys determine whether we have the
Yeah,
funding.
if we're good for it.
So the timeline, the schedule that he gave me for that was that we could potentially have a notice of intent. Here, you're gonna have to see if you can find it, because I can't get it, if you wanna help me. Because I'm trying to explain to him about the process relative to the DEQ loan.
Just explain it to them. She'll get it.
So, we have to, there's a lot of publishing requirements to go for this loan. This loan is handled like any other bond. And,
So by paying off that one bond, we're gonna improve our chances with the bond attorney, huh?
Well, we're hoping, but it's small.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
small one, so it's not.
It's a point or two.
it should,
Yeah, man, when you're talking about $3.75 million,
Million dollars.
that's.
It's really not that much statewide, I mean.
Kristen sent this to me about where it is here, if you want to look at it. You might want to call her and let her.
So we did get that,
Under no-
award, I guess you would say, on the contingency of the items they discussed. But we will not know if we receive funding from capital outlay for those same projects until, I think, May
Yeah.
of 2026.
April or May, whenever the session ends. So it has to be put into the bill first. Are you guys going to work on those politicians, please?
Absolutely. We have everything in
No.
that we can have submitted by December the 1st.
Yes.
No,
go to the
everything is
very
not
end.
in. Water sector program is not in yet.
Well, I'd be happy to send something in, but I need a.
What you were working on.
Identification number.
So we,
can't go forward
I can
with that.
forward it to you, but we are ineligible to apply for sewer again.
She doesn't have it.
Heather Paul conclusively said
The sewer is second.
we are
We have
ineligible.
sewer in already.
We've been approved
There's
for
no
sewer
other
already.
attachments on there?
That's our wastewater treatment plant.
There's no other attachments on there?
But we are eligible to still
that's just
submit an application for a grant for the well, for the water system.
For the water
not the sewer system.
Okay,
I'd
that's
submit it
fine.
regardless for the sewer system, even though she's saying no. You're talking about being political, submit it.
But it's not a political, and not only that, it has to be stamped and approved. The opinion of probable cost has to be stamped and approved by our engineer. So it can't, there's no consideration for that, and it,
What, for sewer?
for anything for water sector
No,
program.
I'm talking about the sewer.
Yeah, for sewer, for
We have
water
a
sector.
major sewer issue.
What's that?
We have a major sewer issue.
Yes, we do.
We're gonna-
So, I might understand what has
It's
to
kind of
be.
going really fast. Can you rewind that and tell us why we're not eligible?
Okay, I know, we're all over the,
Yeah, I know, I'm like, what
Because
are we talking about?
we were applied and we were granted the awards. Now they're saying we're not eligible to reapply for something else related to sewer
For the second round.
for the second
So
round.
there's a first round and a second round.
Okay.
There was-
Since we were given funds in the first round for sewer, we are not eligible for sewer in the second round. We are eligible for water because we did not get an award for
We
water.
did submit water for the first
Okay.
round, but we didn't make the cut. So we can do water the second round. But we can't do sewer.
So I will be happy to forward the communication from the DOA, from Heather Paul. There are 3 exceptions through which you can submit another project for water, for sewer. And we
I-
didn't,
I say we try everything we can.
but that makes us look like we don't know what we're doing.
We know what we're doing. We need help with sewer.
Yeah, I know it.
And there's,
But,
and
so-
whatever the,
Said no.
what's the word you just used? The exceptions that you can reapply or can apply for additional sewer?
And I specifically addressed those with her, and she said, you're ineligible to apply.
So this is not like capital outlay where it's driven by right. It's driven by a group of engineers and the
We're
last
talking
thing we
over each
wanna-
other, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The last
Yes,
thing we want to
we need
do
to just
is
take our
send an
time.
application in where the engineers go, oh, this town doesn't know what the heck they're doing. They got phase 1 funds.
They're going to be giving us millions of dollars. They want to be sure. And it's a point system. It's evaluated by a group of engineers.
Well, let's put our effort into applying
water.
for the water.
We will.
Because,
We are
also have to
eligible.
we also have to show, obviously, for the sewer that we have the, money available to secure it, and then we're gonna do the project right. So, let's just do one project right at a time. How many can we do at one time to begin with?
We were not that far
Right.
off on the first round for water either.
Right.
We were relatively close.
Yeah. Well,
So I think with some improvements to it and some things that, that we can add in.
And
what's the
apply for
deadline
the
second
waiver.
round?
What's that?
What's the deadline for the
December
second round?
1st.
Okay.
So we're
So,
working on it.
So we have 3 prongs right now, right? We got the loan, the CWSRF, which we've been approved for with no forgiveness.
why no forgiveness?
I don't
Got
know.
in time.
I guess they don't think we're destitute enough.
They don't like it.
I'm not
New
sure.
Orleans, but.
So with the CWSRF, this is what you can anticipate going forward for the next few months. Hardy Andrews is our bond attorney. He is starting to set the wheels in motion. I sent to him a copy of our rate study, and he is reviewing what needs to happen. We will prepare a notice of intent. There are a lot of stringent publication notices that have to be sent out to the newspaper. It's longer than any other process. And then, after the notice of intent, there'll be a resolution that would be passed if he determines that we're eligible. He has to do a 10-year projection to see whether or not we're in a position to be able to repay the loan. As Alderman Boudreaux said, paying off the Series 2004 is going to be helpful. Right now, we pay about $350,000 a year to satisfy the current loan that we have for $6 million. So if we get $3.75 million, you can just pretty much estimate what that'll be. So if the interest is the same and we're paying $350,000 a year now, $4 million, what, 250? Another $250,000?
I was thinking 500,
Yeah,
5, 6.
We'll have it all paid off by 2030.
yeah. So that's where we are with that particular loan. So there's a number of steps that we have to go through. We can reduce it. We can say, look, if we're not eligible for the whole 3.75 because our debt ratio is too high, maybe we drop it to $2 million just to do a B to East. He recommends that we keep it at the full amount, and if it's a drawdown type of thing,
Yeah, you're not paying interest until you borrow the money.
right, and if you don't need to borrow the money, you don't need to borrow the money.
One project
But we
at a
should be
time.
working on that loan and the capital outlay, using influence to get that, and if the governor puts it on the capital outlay, we're in better shape than if our representative puts it on. But if
So
the
you use your
representative,
last name, Boudreaux. You gotta go up there and talk to
Want
land.
me to write the governor? I'll write him.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll write him.
All right, guys, we do need to wrap up the town hall, that we need time to convert it over
Ways
and
to put in
Sure.
writing? I mean,
The other person is Taylor Barris that y'all can talk to. You know the Department of Administration Commissioner, Taylor Barris, Barras. He's another person that if he supports this, it goes a long way in getting us the capital outlay. So we'll have that, those two, the loan, capital outlay, and then the third thing is gonna be the water well for DEQ, which we would have to submit by December 1st. So we're trying everything we
That would be
can.
water sector, right?
That's water sector.
Water sector, not
I'm sorry.
DEQ.
Well, it's,
Okay, so I think that going forward, we will be presented a proposed budget at the next town council meeting based on the presentation that we had today. There may be some minor changes if we change the utility fund, but I think overall, it'll be very close. So if y'all have any other questions that you come up with in the meantime, prior to next Tuesday's meeting, if you will share them with me, I will get on them right away and try to get information back to you.
and that's just an introduction, right?
That will be the introduction at that meeting.
so let me ask this. Besides the one thing that we talked about, which was the fee, for the fee for the credit card,
Oh, yeah.
that we were gonna change that, did any of you guys find anything that you couldn't live with or that you see just on this high-level overview that you can't live with?
I didn't, and even the fee, I think that's subject to change. I just don't understand why we're not
Sure.
doing that. Like, it's not, I'm not gonna not vote for the budget because y'all decided to wait until next year to change the fee. Like, I just don't understand why
Yeah.
we wouldn't do it.
But I mean, we can make that adjustment. Is there anything else that, Alderman Patterson, was there anything that you
No, I
felt
agree.
you couldn't live with?
No.
Alderman Saucy or Boudreaux? I mean,
You know, the percentage of that thing should be covered 100%. Just wanna look at the salaries again, on the 40,000 on the Parks and Recreation.
okay.
The reason we got pushed back, we
I
got a lot of
actually right now,
pushback at
I'm more
that
focused
meeting
on
over
making sure that we get as
when we
much as we
went
can in
to
capital outlay.
Yeah.
being able to
that's
do
what
it.
I'm at.
There was a lot of elderly people
That's
there
where I'm
that
at.
didn't.
I mean, that would be great because we can still move forward with what we need to move forward with. I mean, it could be a small loss for us when it comes to moving forward with the loan, but we have to do it at the same time because of the urgency of what we need to do.
Yeah. I mean, we're
All right.
kind in many ways.
Yeah, if you want to come in town and hand us a check.
Right, yeah.
Hey, can I have a motion to close?
Moved. Moved.
Okay, you two, I got you.
All in favor?
Taylor?
That,
I think that was productive.
that was the reason for the nine.
No, I understand, but we do that all the time where, you know, everybody else is just like.
Alderman Boudreaux made a motion to
Yeah, I
close,
think,
seconded by
Dan,
Alderman
as the
Patterson.
mayor, reached out possibly
We try to be kind, that what happens is we hamstring ourselves from like keeping up with other municipalities, because it's like, that's something that shouldn't even be a thought, we're just like, well, out of generosity, we'll just pay for it, but their taxes don't pay for it.
Well, we were
They gotta pay for
so
it one way
far,
or another.
we were so far behind the curve.
Yeah.
It was just trying to figure out literally how to do it,
Yeah, yeah,
how to actually collect money
yeah.
over the
Well,
internet.
yeah, well, of course, but I mean, that's, you know, it's also where we just need to